Hello and welcome to another episode of the New York Sports Rush, available on the Bet Rivers Network. Sal Licata, John Jastrzemski talking New York sports here. And JJ, it is the first day that we have some football to look forward to tonight. Now, I know it's preseason, and when we last spoke, we weren't really fired up about it, but we do have two games this week. And both teams, like there are obviously there's storylines with every team, but to me, there's intrigue with the Giants because of Harbaugh coming in, and with the Jets because of some talent that they have. And when you look at the way that they've built it, in the trenches here. Do you think that it's possible, obviously not just in the trenches, but they build it inside out, starting within the trenches, then have some skill players. Bailey's getting rave reviews at camp. Do you think that the Jets could potentially outshine the Giants this year relative to expectation? Jets have lowered expectations. Is there a shot that you think the Jets, who will play their first preseason game tonight, like we said, against the Buccaneers, is there a shot that they could maybe exceed expectations and outdo the Giants this season?
So, Sal, there are a lot of smart people in my life, football people, and they have tried, a few of them, to make this case to me. I'm not taking the bait. Sorry, I'm not taking the bait. The Jets were as non-competitive and as embarrassing a football team as I saw in the NFL last year. I think they have the worst coach in the league. I really do. Like, if you were to ask me right now on August the 14th to rank the 32 head coaches in the NFL, and yes, I know there are about 5 or 6 guys who are
Mm.
getting first-time opportunities, so I have no idea what they were going to be. Aaron Glenn was so bad in year one. I have absolutely no confidence he can dig out of it and put together a respectable coaching effort and a respectable Jets effort, despite the fact, Sal, that from a talent perspective, you're absolutely right. I think the Jets have something to work with on the offensive line. That should be a top half offensive line within the NFL. I think if you look at what they did in the draft, adding Sadiq, adding Cooper, complimenting Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell for a full year, it's not the embarrassing group of playmakers that I felt it was a year ago outside of Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. And in theory, the defense, I would hope, Sal, I would hope in week one they could get an interception. They played Tua twice last year. They played an entire season. They did not get one interception. So when we add up all of these elements in the equation, the Jets do have lower expectations. They also have, to me, a gauntlet of a schedule right out of the gate, especially if they lose to the Tennessee Titans in week one. So, yeah, right now, seems like Aaron Glenn's getting good pub in camp. David Bailey's getting good pub. The offensive line's getting good pub. All of that may be true. Sal, if they lose to Robert Sal and the Tennessee Titans, I want this on record. Save the video. Have fun with this. They are starting the season 0-4, and there's nothing to discuss. So my memo to the Jets, you better beat the Titans.
Okay, but let me counter for a second because normally I'd be with you. Excuse me. Matter of fact, we had this conversation, and I was saying that I think that Aaron Glenn won't survive week 6. However, the more I think about it and talk to people who are there at camp and talk about the talent, I'm like, okay, I could see you making a case maybe they could be a little bit better. What about the addition of Frank Reich? Because nobody would argue, we could argue who's the worst coach in the league, but nobody would argue that the clear weakest link for this team just so happens to be the most important, the head coach and the quarterback. Like, I can't stand Geno Smith. So for me, that's a bad issue. What you need to go.
Guys, we're trying to do a show here.
It's all right.
We're trying to do a show here, and
right.
I got all sorts of craziness going on. They might as well make an appearance while we're at it.
Sounds like the Jet fans whining about people when they say that they're not going to be any good. No, we're going to be better this year. But to me, the head coach and the quarterback, obviously the most important thing, and that's the weakest combo. What about, though, the addition of Frank Reich? Does that offset at least a little bit? I like Frank Reich. I don't know if I love him, and I certainly wouldn't love him as a head coach. But don't you love him to run the offense with the pieces that they have in place?
I can't say I love him when he's been out of the NFL, it feels like, for a couple of years now, Sal. Now, I understand he had a good reputation when he was working with the Philadelphia Eagles. He got Indianapolis to the playoffs as a head coach, if you remember Phillip Rivers last year. But is Frank Reich still an elite offensive mind within the NFL? I think he has a good reputation. But let's put it this way. You're not getting – I'm trying to think of a comp here. And it's not like the Jets got Mike McDaniel as their offensive coordinator. And listen, I know you can poke holes and make fun of Mike McDaniel as a head coach.
Oh, I
Sure, go
love
right
him.
ahead.
I take him as I take him as a head coach even because of just the offense alone.
His creativity is widely regarded around the NFL. Whether you like his style or not, uh, what they did in the run game last year, getting Tua to play where he's leading the league and passing. Like, you want to tell me he can't lead men? You want to tell me he's not a head coach? Fine. Like, if the Jets hired Mike McDaniel as their offensive coordinator, I'd be like, wow, they got an elite offensive coordinator. I can't say Frank Reich at this stage in his NFL career is an elite offensive
All right,
coordinator.
so where you at then win total with the Jets? We'll get to the Giants in a second here. Where you at win total going into the year? You going to go under the 6?
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
I am. Sal, they're winning this team in this division, where I think at best they're going 1-3 against Buffalo.
Even with
And New England.
Bailey and the possibility of him being a legit, I don't know how I so easily got talked into it because
I'm stunned by this. You're now like, is it who you hanging out with? That's what I want to know.
Well, Dan Grossa, our colleague over at SNY.
I love Dan Grossa. I
Yeah.
love Beningo. I love these Jet guys. All of them. Will Parkinson, Jake Asman, great. They're all wonderful people. I need to see it from the Jets.
I know, and
I'm sorry. Until I see it, I'm not sipping a Kool-Aid.
Okay, you're right. And I normally would agree with you 100% in that. Like, we have the same thought process. I need to see it before I believe it. But I think a part of me was blindly just dismissing them because they're the Jets and they always disappoint, which is not necessarily the right thing to have, because I don't believe Aaron Glenn is a great head coach. But if you actually think about it, and there is the talent in the trenches, which is the way that I would build a team inside out. They do have some skill position players, whether it's a tight end, whether it's obviously Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. Now, again, I don't love Geno, and that's the thing that's holding me back. Defensively, I love the addition of Minka Fitzpatrick. You talk about DeMario Davis. I love the idea of veterans there with the young stud in Bailey. I think you could make a case that maybe they could be more competitive than you or I think, who are always just going to, or coming into the year initially, we're like, they're going to be under that 6 total. They're not even going to have a chance. They'll be one of the worst teams in the league. Maybe. Now, we do need to see it. Like, at some point, you have to show me. But isn't there an argument to be made that they could potentially do it? Where are you at with Geno? Because that would, to me, like, it comes down to, are we getting Seattle Geno or are we getting Oakland Geno? And if we get Seattle Geno, then they probably could win 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, I think he's somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's as bad as he was with Vegas because the offensive line will be much better. I also don't think he's going to be as good as he was a couple of years ago when he led Seattle to the playoffs. I think he's somewhere in between. Like, let me put it this way with Geno Smith. He's going to have a couple of games this year where it's like, wow, he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jets look really good on offense. Sal, he's going to have another couple of games where he throws for 240, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and gives your team absolutely no chance to win. Like, I think you will get the full arsenal of the Geno Smith experience. And from a trust standpoint, that's my problem. See, here's what I keep going back to with the Jets, though. If they had an easier schedule, I think I could talk myself into improvement. But I just look at it logistically. The NFC North is a beast of a division. In fact, the Jets are going to play Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago in 3 consecutive games. Can they win one of those games?
Yeah.
Like, that to me is, hey, how did the Jets surprise? For someone who's gonna be like, JJ, you're out on them. How do you draw up a competitive start to the year? One, you have to beat Sal and the Titans. You do that, okay, you got breathing room. You get one of the next 3 games. That's it. One.
Well, now
Packers.
that changes everything.
That's what I'm saying. If you get to 2-2 and then you beat Cleveland, well, then you're halfway there. Then you're at 3-2. You'll have Miami twice. Are they going to beat Miami twice? They haven't beat Miami twice in over a decade.
Dude, if they did that to start, the expectations, like, you know how fans are around it. Like, it'd go from, well, maybe they can win 6 games to, oh my God, they're going to be a playoff team. That would be, to me, even next level. I'm not talking about them being good. I mean, 6 wins is low, man.
But that's how you start that pathway. Because to me, Sal, if they go down the dark path, there's no coming back. Like, that's how I see this season shaking out. Like, yeah, if they go and play well in September, I don't think it's going to lead to a playoff season. It can lead to a competitive season. If they do not, like, let's put it this way. The Giants could start 0-2 and still have a successful season, in my opinion. I can see that. I can't see that with the Jets.
You know, another thing that Grassa said that I was surprised to hear because we played this out and I don't think they're going to have success early in like the schedule is just brutal, dude. Brutal. Now maybe they beat the Titans and then that will change things, but if they lose that, I made the argument that Glenn would not survive week 6. Grassa was saying and he does stuff with the Jets there, whatever, so he's in touch with them and goes out to camp that he believes that they want to keep Aaron Glenn. From afar to me it seemed like Glenn was in a Mendoza situation. We talked about this where Carlos Mendoza and the Mets, they get rid of all his coaches around him. Going into the year, it was imperative the Mets had to have a good start. They didn't. Mendy gets fired. That going into the year, it seems like they get rid of the coaches around Glenn. Personnel moves are all Muji, and it feels less of Glenn. Whereas last year, it felt like Glenn was the face of the franchise, and everything was around him. But Grosso was making it sound like Woody and the Jets really want to keep Glenn around, and they will give him every opportunity to succeed. Do you see it that way, or you still think if they have a slow start, maybe Woody would do what he would do, or what he did do with Robert Saleh?
So I don't think Woody wants to fire Aaron Glenn because obviously there are ties to the organization and like they want this to work out. That said, if the coaching is comparable to what we saw last year, what's the argument?
I know, dude.
I don't care that he was a really good corner for the Jets. It's like, dude, you can't hack it.
But that's
Like
how
this
bad
is
he was.
there's no participation trophies here. Like this is the NFL. It's not for long for guys that go to the playoffs. If they have 1 or 2 bad years, they get fired. He had a historically bad season last year. Historically, like I cannot stress how non-competitive and how unwatchable the Jets were all season long. At the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, I don't want to hear about all right, the quarterback. The defense was not competitive too.
Might have been the
Like
least competitive football team in the NFL that I've ever seen. Like I did Columbia games for a while, and they lost like 30 games in a row, whatever it was, like in consecutive seasons. That might have been the least competitive. And we've seen, I mean, the Adam Gase years were god awful as well. We've seen this many times over with the
they
Jets.
were more competitive in the last year of Gaze than they were for Glenn's team last year.
It just felt
That's
like they had
100% true.
no shots. They couldn't move the football. You know what? After talking to you, I'm back to I think my original opinion.
But
Glenn's
I
gonna get
mean,
fired
listen,
after
Sal,
week 6.
can I say this though? Because I'm sure some Jet fans are going to jump down my throat. I really now maybe I don't mean this because I might bet the Titans in week 1, and if I lose money, I'm not going to be happy. But in all seriousness, for our standpoint, we would prefer to have 2 teams that we are not pronouncing dead on arrival before we hit October.
Right.
Please, I would prefer the Jets go and start 2-2 because I don't want to do this again.
Right.
I'm bored of it. It's not enjoyable. It's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. That's why I'm actually really excited about the Giants, even though I think they might be a year away. I see the foundational pieces there. I'd like to have a football season in town. It'd be nice.
Let's get to the Giants. I couldn't agree with you more. Between the 2 teams, they can't get us to October. I mean, for years, it's the same stuff. I do think the Giants are going to be. I hesitate there for a second to say playoff team, but I do think they're going to be borderline playoff team. I'm now sold because I love the foundation. I love bringing in the head coach. I think he's going to maximize. Excuse me. I think he's going to maximize the ability or the potential that they have already in house. Then you think about the additions that they made. If you're maximizing every ounce of what the Giants have, that should be a playoff team. And I know the NFC is loaded up. I know their division is loaded up. I'm getting higher on the Giants as the weeks go on here. Where are you at with Big Blue potentially being a playoff team?
So I'm not ready to go there yet, but I love the idea of what this camp has meant as far as toughness, as far as physicality, the idea of going to West Virginia. Like it just solidifies my belief in Harbaugh. And my feeling, Sal, on the Giants is that they are going to get better as this year goes along. Like I think you might see in the first few weeks, hey, Jackson Dart's in a new offense. They're trying a bunch of different stuff with him now. He's a lot more under center. Neighbors coming back from the injury, Scatterbo coming back from the injury. And hey, 2 brutal opponents from Jump Street. Cowboys, who they never beat. I know they beat them in meaningless week 18 last year. Let's be real on this. The Giants never beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Since they won that second Super Bowl, they never beat the Cowboys. Then they go to the Rams, who are the favorite at the moment, significant to go and win the Super Bowl this year. So, like, if they start 1-1, they're really, really off to a good start. But I think you'll see some growing pains within that offense. I am so curious to see, though, Carter,
Yeah.
who it's funny how you would grade his rookie year.
But don't you think now with Harbaugh here, they're going to maximize what he is?
That's what I was getting at. He was an analytics darling, Sal, because he got a lot of pressures. He didn't finish plays, and I think that frustrated a lot of people. And listen, he's sleeping through meetings. There were a couple of bad optics for Abdul Carter. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that he had an amazing rookie season, but he wasn't a bust. Like, I wouldn't look at his first year and say total bust because
Hmm.
I think Brian Burns' big year was a direct reflection of a lot of those pressures that Abdul Carter was getting, where it's like, hey, Abdul Carter's in the backfield. Who's going and cleaning up the sacks? Brian Burns cleaning up the sacks. I'm not trying to take away from him. What I'm saying is you felt Carter's impact at times. I think he can be even better this year.
Right.
It's another year. He's going to get better coaching. I think they're going to be in his grill consistently. Like, dude, you're not missing meetings. You're not doing that here. Those days are over. You're under our ship now. We're getting you to the next level as a player. They're two studs between Burns following up what he did last year, Carter getting in that next level, and then Reese, hey, go be a unicorn, sideline to sideline, impacting the game at linebacker. That, to me, is your pathway for the Giants, getting much better on this front seven. And I do, even with losing Dexter Lawrence,
Yeah.
you do see the pieces in place there.
That's what I'm saying. See, it's different. If everything went well, and we know that like the majority of time going into the seasons, whatever it may be, baseball, football, if everything goes right, there are certain teams that can go further than others. Like if everything goes right perfectly for the Jets, what do you think they max out at? Let's say Glenn's great this year.
7-8 wins.
And that's pretty good. If you're saying if everything goes right for them.
I'm talking everything goes right.
Gino
7,
plays
8
well.
wins.
Glenn, as they stay healthy. Glenn, good head coach. The young players on defense. Bailey shines. With the Giants, I think if everything clicks, Dart, Scadaboo, Neighbors fully healthy. What the hell? Malachi Moore. I get the Malachi mixed up. It is Malachi Moore, right? Who am I thinking of? Malachi Corley with the Jets. He was the former Jets receiver.
Oh, what a stiff.
Anyway, the young rookie receiver. You get
No,
Carter.
you're talking Malachi Fields.
I'm sorry, Malachi Fields.
The Notre Dame kid. There we go.
Malachi Fields. I screwed that one up. That's my
I knew what you meant.
Malachi Fields, along with Neighbors, being stud receivers. Neighbors got to be healthy. The offensive line, which is much better than it's been. Obviously, Harbaugh, he's going to be him. And then the defensive studs that you mentioned, dude, I think if everything goes well, you can be looking at a 10-win team. I don't think it's crazy.
Oh, no, not at all, Sal. Listen, if Vegas, dude, just compare Vegas numbers.
What is the
Vegas
Giants
numbers?
number?
It's 7.5. Okay.
So
if they're ahead of schedule, that puts them in a 9-10 win range. I don't think with their schedule they're rattling off like there was a thought when he was first hired, John Harbaugh. Oh, the Giants can be last year's Patriots. That to me is asking a lot. Like,
if they were in the AFC, do you think that could be the case?
No, because if they were in the AFC East, no.
Well, no, just in general in the AFC, bro. Look at you mentioned the defensive players. Like, okay, well, what's
I understand
missing?
that, but are they better than Buffalo or New England?
Well, I'm saying the Patriots last year, they did it in part because of the way the landscape, like their schedule was.
Of course, but why did they do it? They did it for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons. Schedule, 100% right.
Right.
Soft, charming soft. 2, Mike Vrabel is a winner. He came in and just changed the entire program. Your hope is Harbaugh will have that impact.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
But there's another big difference, though. Sorry, Giant fans. Drake May is much better than Jackson Dart.
Okay, see, now we're getting somewhere fun.
Sorry. And I like Jackson Dart.
But
Drake May was the runner-up for the MVP last year.
But who's to say that Dart can't take another step if he does that? And I like we talked about with the Jets, I need to see a little bit more. First, I need to see that he can stay on the field. That's going to be the most important thing. And then when he's on the field for a full season, I need to see him take that next step. But I'm not saying he's going to be Drake May or better than May, who was terrific last year, to your point. But I mean, I think that's the hope. When Giant fans start dreaming about, well, this could be next year's this year's Patriots from last year, because you have the head coach quarterback combination. We know what Harbaugh is, and there's a thought that Dart could be that. So maybe if you're limiting the Giants in your mind, it's because you don't think Dart is going to be that good. Because if he is as good as everybody thinks and takes another step, ascends and gets better, significantly better under Harbaugh in year 2, then I think you can make the argument. My only argument against would be that the NFC is just so freaking loaded. whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Cowboys, the Eagles. Look at the North and the loaded teams there. I mean, there's all.
The
I think
West, the
the
Rams,
Niners,
the
yeah,
defending champs that
right.
nobody's talking about.
Right. I mean, right. We'll talk
No,
about the Rams.
Have you ever seen a defending champ in football get as little? Now, Denver losing Peyton Manning doesn't count because like Peyton Manning retired, the team's totally different. But like brings back a majority of the exact same team, and it's like no one's talking about the Seahawks. I'd love it if I'm Mike McDonald. I'd love it.
You think that that's a good thing for the league though? Because for me, like last year's Super Bowl was such like, yeah, I don't know.
I made a lot of money on it, so I'm not going to complain. It was
All
a
right.
dud. I finally won a Super Bowl. I was so glad to not see the Chiefs in there. So it was like,
Even the way Seattle ran, I don't know. I like Sam Darnold.
honestly, Sal, I think it's football. I don't think the NFL's got to worry about any storyline. I think it's just like on a silver platter for them.
Agree, but do you like that? Me personally, I don't know why. I just feel like
You like the big team. You like the team with the
Yes.
quarterback. But maybe it's speaking
and trying to beat them. Like it's not like I like the idea of having that quarterback and that loaded team, and then the team trying to knock them off. Like if Seattle were that team trying to knock off the big team, we didn't get that. We got one of the surprise teams with the Seahawks and another surprise team with a Patriots team who was really in the end no match.
Here's what I think you're seeing though: the complete totality of a team. Each of the last 2 years, the Eagles. Listen, Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry, he's not a top 5 quarterback, but he was on the perfect team 2 years ago. Seattle won with Sam Darnold. What am I getting at here? With the way the league is kind of adjusted defensively, dropping the safeties back, like just making it it's tougher now. It's not as the adjustment has been made from a lot of these defensive coordinators. You got to have that healthy team and that balanced team to go win it. That's what we've seen. So that's what I'm trying to find this year in the Super Bowl champion for what it's worth.
I think I'm starting to get excited. Remember we talked earlier, I think it was Wednesday, we talked about, I was like, yeah, I'm not there yet. Now that there's Jets playing tonight, you get the Giants over the weekend. Not that those games are going to be of high importance because they're not
Well,
anymore.
And let's be honest, it beats the alternative that is the Mets. So I get
I mean,
it.
come on. The Mets are and the Yankees, we've done the same stuff, so we don't need to do, we can save it for next week. But the Yankees, it's the same thing with them. They don't score any runs.
That's amazing, Sal. Everybody's like, oh, the offense, it's fixed. There we go. And then they get shut out the next day.
Is the division over in your mind?
You keep asking me this.
Well, I mean, it's getting worse.
Listen, do I think they're two different questions? Is it over? No. Do I think they're winning the division? No.
Right.
Like
At some point, I want you to say it's over. They're not winning the division. I mean, there's 7 back right now, going the wrong way.
I'm waiting until Labor Day weekend to make that proclamation, okay?
All right, that's not that far off. I don't think the Yankees, because the idea would be, well, what's going to change? Well, they're going to get healthy. They're not going to get healthy until at the very earliest September. Bellinger might come back sooner. Stanton's not coming back before September, and Judge isn't coming back until you would think mid to late September at the earliest. So,
Sal, listen to this. I did radio in Toronto before I went on with you.
Yeah.
They had me on to preview the series. They're like 2 out of a playoff spot after winning 3 or 4 from the Red Sox. You realize that if they get the 6th seed, now they have to make the playoffs. Right now, they're not given to make the playoffs. I get that. You would get the Astros, and then you would get the AL Central. Whereas the first wild card, and listen, nobody's going to make excuses for the Yankees or the Red Sox. Like, you didn't win your division. Tough. That's the way it is. But, like, there's a world where the Yankees have to go and beat Boston.
in the first
Have
round.
to go and beat Tampa. And imagine if Toronto, who finished 4th in the division, gets the last wild card. And it's like, yep, AL West team stinks. AL Central team stinks. And it's Yankees, Blue Jays. You're going to be like, how are the Blue Jays there?
Yeah.
We could be living in that world. Just remember I said that.
All of a sudden, the American League playoffs look like a gauntlet as opposed to the cakewalk that we thought that it was going to be. All right. Where are you at? You're on vacation again?
Hershey, as you heard, I have my in-laws, my wonderful niece and nephew. I came up here thinking that I'd get some peace and quiet, but like there's a Papa Shot and a ping pong table, and they're running upstairs. I'm like, guys, what the hell are you doing? I got a show to do. You guys got to be quiet.
It's tremendous. All right. Well, we're glad we could get this show done. Hopefully, everybody enjoys the weekend. I'm heading to the golf course now. You enjoy.
Yeah,
your
I
vacation.
got to. Don't worry though, Sally boy. 3 rounds next week for your boy. The kid's back.
Look at you.
2 in Baltimore and then 1 at the Great Ferry Point next Saturday. So, yeah, man, about damn time, as they say.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy the golf.
That does it for this edition of the New York Sports Rush. We'll see you later. Bye.